Hello, I'm Georgina. Welcome to Atelier Millinery Online. If you haven't met us in person yet, we're at number 9 Smith's Court in London, Soho, and directions on how to get here are on the Contact Us section of the website. In the boutique, we offer hats, trimmings, courses, and all manner of wonderful things, so come down and see us. On the Atelier Millinery team, everybody is a well-trained milliner, and we have over 50 years of experience between us. We want to share some of that know-how with you via these tutorials. This is one of a series, and each one is about specific tasks that customers ask us about all the time. So if you have a topic that you would like us to explain, then please get in touch via the website or on social media. I'd like to hand over to Tina now, who's going to explain how to stiffen wool felt.
So the technique that I'm showing you today will work either for wool felt or velour felt, but we will be using a wool felt for today. And just to know, there are a few things you need to be aware of when using the stiffener on wool felt. First of all, it is a chemical stiffener. This is not PVA or non-toxic. We carry that here, but what we like to do after much testing in our laboratories here at Atelier Millinery is dilute it. We dilute 1 to 2, that's 1 part of stiffener to 2 parts thinner. We don't carry the thinner here, but you will be able to find a link after this tutorial that will show you where you can purchase some of that thinner. So once you've diluted it, you're ready to go. Only pour out the amount that you need. Because of its toxicity, you don't want to be breathing that in. And that's another thing, make sure you're working in an open, well-ventilated space so that you don't develop a headache. Also, no water. So when you're finished, do not clean your brush with water. It will simply go opaque, it will become gloopy, and it will become useless after that point. So for example, here's one that we've been using, and as you can see, it's as hard as a rock. But all you do is pour a bit into the cup, place your brush in, and let it soak for about 5 minutes. And now we'll swap over to this brush, which is, as you can see, nice and soft and ready to work. Of course, after a few years of using it, it'll get to where the brush will no longer soften. Then throw it out and get yourself a new brush. No need to wrap it in cling film, just keep it like that, let it dry. So, when you take your hood, make sure that you've turned it inside out. You must always put your stiffener on the wrong side. I like to use a block covered in cling film so that I have a sturdy surface that will give me a purchase so that I can put this on. So once you've gotten some on your brush, make sure to get as much excess off, because the one thing about the thinner is it helps the wool to absorb the stiffener a lot quicker. So if you don't get the excess off, you'll have a mighty stiff felt at the end. I start at the top, work in sections that are about 50 pence in size. Work around in a circle and just keep working until you can no longer see the top glistening from the stiffener, because that's saying that the stiffener has been absorbed in. And then start again. Another set. But now you're going to start to work around in concentric circles. I've put a straight pin in. This will allow me to see where I began, so that I always make sure I've gone around. And in slight overlap, and move on to your next section. I always say to my students, if you haven't spent 15 minutes stiffening your felt, you haven't stiffened it enough. So just to show you, the top, there you go. So you see a slight overlap, and then on to the next. So then I will twist, and on to the next with the slight overlap again, working that in. And then once you've gone all the way around that first loop, you're going to then move down to your next layer. So again, straight pin tells me where I need to start and move on. And again, working that in. Now the reason for working that in is you need to make sure that the stiffener is going into the felt and not sitting on top of the felt. And this is one thing that the thinner does. The thinner helps the wool to absorb the stiffener, because if you only get it onto the surface, it won't stiffen the felt very much. As well, once it's dried, it can leave a white film, or when you go to steam and then block, it will create a white film that is very hard to get rid of. So again, make sure that you're working really hard to get all that in to the felt. You also need to let your felt stiffen or dry, completely before you then go and block your hat, because again, steam and water will create a white film or create a goopy effect with your stiffener. It is not completely dry. So leave it, hopefully in a well-ventilated area. Usually overnight is enough. So once you've done all of that, you'll be ready to go. So you should have worked yourself all the way down like that, eventually having done concentric circles, and then leave it to dry. You can leave it on the block because two things, it should not have gone all the way through, and also you've got your cling film on there so you're protected. Just let the whole thing dry. And again, excess, pour it back in to your container and reuse it. Keep your cup, you can keep using your cup and keep using this. And there you go.